in your hands, so when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning, warning.
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You calm down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello, it's Christine Joanna Hart, and welcome. Hello, it's Christine Joanna Hart, and welcome to my show. And I was a little bit late there getting on air. Apologies to everybody, and thank you, Jerry, for giving me a quick ring. My clock, bizarrely, is running late. It now says 1 o'clock, and I was just about to sit down at my desk and get plugged in, and it's. Gosh, that's 10 minutes late, that clock. So annoying. How annoying is that? But here I am. We're going to do a show about targeted individuals today, and we are going to talk about Brian Harvey's targeting and James Casbolt, Max Spears, my own. And what does it mean to be a targeted individual, and why do people keep talking about it? And what does it mean? And is it just mad people, or is it people that have had really exciting lives and then have had really bad lives? What does it mean? Are you a targeted individual? Is it just a whole plate of crazy? So I'm going to examine that today. And that will be quite interesting. So I'll just get into allow myself to sink into the show. I'm also going to talk about the antidotes to it. So if you are suffering from targeting and wondering what to do, there are many antidotes. Now, the first time I encountered the whole thing was after I had written my second book, In for the Kill, and I had a woman contact me on Facebook, actually, to say that she thought I'd been a victim of monarch mind control. I thought it was all woo-woo at first, but I entered down the rabbit hole into that world and joined a little Facebook group, even though I didn't believe in it, but I found it all, quite interesting. I thought this might make a novel at some point, but I certainly didn't believe there was any such thing as mind control. Now, I'd always been like psychic, and I had a, I would astrally travel, and my dream life was always more than my awake life. So basically, I'd wait to sort of hit the hay and have my life there, where I would, leave the body in consciousness and have just the amazing experiences and come back into my body and feel that the earthly life was quite mundane. At time to time, I used to get cut off from it, like couldn't dream walk, and I used to feel really down. I don't know why it cut off now and again, but to be stuck here. I suppose the moral of the story is to make the 3D life better, but because I was so much one foot in another world, I didn't bother really. This didn't seem very important. It seemed more like spiritual, highly connected. I was a member of the Theosophical Society in Gloucester Place in London. I would go along there, use their library, and read their books and read about the brotherhoods that were there, and try and become part of that, initiate. So that was in my 20s. And so anyway, worked for an investigations agency. Some of them I worked for, well, some of them were ex-CID, some of them were ex-MI6. Never worked for ex-MI5, but worked alongside Gary Watkinson, who was ex-MI5. And then I moved into Fleet Street. And it's quite interesting to read about James Casbott's life, because he mentions not only MI6, but Fleet Street as well. So I just find that curious, because he was adopted by Jesuits, in a kids' home run by Jesuits, and so was I, and then was adopted and sexually abused, and so was I. So that's why I've been interested in James Casbott, because it's quite an unusual life, similar to my own. Sadly, a lot of women have contacted me on Facebook whenever I post about some of his things to, talk about dating him. It's really weird, because my interest is obviously because he's had a similar life, and why must a woman's interest in a man always be sexual? It's weird, isn't it? Plus, I know his fiance, but plus he's not my type. So it's kind of strange. But I'm sure anyone listening, if they'd have had a life that's quite unusual and then come across someone else that follows down that thing and is supposed to be part of a project, and then someone tells me and doesn't even know Casbolt, oh, you're part of this project. So that was my interest, because I got to a point where I didn't really believe in it anymore. There's so many people out there saying that they're part of the Monarch project, and I don't believe them. And I don't believe them because I think if you're part of the Monarch project, surely you've been used for something. You have to have been, like, my brother was in a children's home too. One could say, well, he must have been in the projects, because we were brought back twice a year to the orphanage. Always wondered about that. Why go back? But if it's programming and using kids as experimental, whatever, then you would have to go back. And it was odd the way it was concentrate on the jelly and ice cream concentrate. And I was always crying to go back there. It was horrific, whatever happened. And I was just looking at a photograph today of a woman who ran the place called Valerie. And when I try and make inquiries with the Crusade of Rescue, the Catholic Crusade of Rescue, I'm told, no, there was a bishop running it during that time, not a woman. She's clearly there in the picture. Sent that to him. They're like, no, we don't. That's just one of the other mothers at the orphanage on one of the party days. Well, no, I distinctly remember. Never mind. Anyway, it's giving me the creeps to remember. I mean, she just looked weird. I I'll try and post that picture of her actually. Anyway, I don't really want to talk about it. So I was contacted by Anna, who read my second book, In for the Kill, and said I was one of these like monarch puppets. And I looked into it, and seemingly, Fritz Springmeier explains it. The Catholics were very into using the kids in their orphanages as experiments, and they would basically traumatize the child, split them so their psyche would go into different parts. Then they would compartmentalize the parts and via hypnosis put in triggers so the different parts would come forward at the different triggers. I thought it was odd when Anna told me about it because I'd always had a odd sexual part, that my sexual self was compartmentalized and it would only come forward on certain occasions, like Real IRA Commander, editor of the News of the World, John Boyle, who works for MI6, and it didn't seem as if my sexuality was like, oh, fancy a boy. And I'd always wanted to write love stories, but of course, if you've never been in love, you can't really write a love story. So I felt rather frustrated. Plus, most of my friends were married, but it seemed that my sexuality was triggered at certain events, like, but just for these super powerful men. And I thought, maybe is it something to do with power? But it seemed to me, looking back, that they were jobs, because my sexuality, for instance, I would have dreams. I remember having dreams about someone called Joe in my dreams, and it was an IRA man on a boat, and I basically would go to this boat, and he was my soulmate, and he was on the run. And in my dreams, recurring dreams, I was madly in love with him, just madly. And this, supposedly, I was told by a psychic that my soulmate has got the initial J. So I thought this Joe was, and I'd always been a psychic, so I had these premonition dreams anyway. So I thought, this is a premonition dream about meeting my soulmate. And when Belfast came up in the newspaper, in the News of the World, I was sent out there, and I was eager to go because I thought, oh, wow, this is meant to be. This is when I meet a Joe. But it never happened. But the fact I was having those dreams really, really drew me to Belfast. And then I gradually got close to the Real IRA and started writing stories for the News of the World. They were so good because I got so close. I was hunting for Jay. And this Jay didn't exist. But this is how mind control might work, yeah? I know it's hard to believe, but the astral level above this level, they have access to our minds. And if you're sort of plugged in this way, if you are one of these people that are used as a puppet or rabbit hole children, as I call them, then it's easy to plant pictures in dreams, plant triggers in dreams. For me, it was always love. That is a motivation of mine, not money, but love. And also my writing. So there was, in my idea, burrowing close like a little tick to the Real IRA, was I will meet Joe, which is love. I will write a book about this amazing love story, which, I want it to be recognized as a writer. And so I started writing a novel called The Boat, and it was about Joe. And of course, I couldn't get it published because it wasn't great. And it was really about, it wasn't a novel, it was about what I thought was going to happen. And it never did. Now, this is a long time ago, and it never happened. I never met Joe. I can still remember on my mind's eye, because if you have recurring really strong dreams that aren't really light dreams, you do remember. I do remember his face. I do remember how I felt back then. But it didn't take place. And I remember meeting a friend, Paul, and telling him about the dreams and saying, I think I'm going to meet this Joe. I think it's going to happen. He looked at me really oddly. But when you do get these planting things going inside you, and it wasn't the only time that I've been controlled in dreams. I remember at the fall of the News of the World, and I was approached by the Guardian's Nick Davis, and he said to me, do you want to talk? Spill the beans on the News of the World. Now, I knew everything, and I also knew that the phone hacking was connected to MI6, because John Boyle, the public school boy, multimillionaire, who works for MI6, who works for the black bag companies, and I think that's where he got the trick from. He had hired this office boy, Glenn Mulcair, and I brought Boyle, who was my boyfriend at the time, into the News of the World, and he brought in the hacking thing. Now, then obviously he's expensive. They stole his office boy. It's really, really stupid thing to do on a powerful man like that. And then they let it slip in front of me. They pushed me out when that came in. Phil Hall, he didn't want me to know about it. I got pushed out 2000, I think, 2002. Or no, before that. Sorry, where's my brain? It was 2000, I think, that I was pushed out. And I went to live in Belfast, and I was doing journalism out in Belfast on the Real IRA, looking for Joe, assuming that this is going to happen. How bizarre. This is how silly and puppet-like humans can be. And so it never happened, but I got more and more better at journalism. And I know, Graham Johnson, if you're listening, it will hurt you, won't it? That you like to smear me, but I'm better than you. There we are. So anyway, I became part of the group with Anna, and she told me about this, and I didn't believe it. And as I was saying the second part, Nick Davies came to me and said, "Did you know John Boyle?" At that point, he was eager to put the Boyle connection. I said to him, "I will think about talking to you." It was all rather heavy. He told me he'd been followed to our meeting. He said, "You'll probably be tailed now too." And I said, "Well, who by?" And he said he thought it was a political party. And I suppose he's left-wing. So I suppose they would have been right-wing. I suppose presumably they would have been News of the World people. Sean Hoare, a journalist back then who knew a lot as well, got murdered. Now, people won't believe that, like they don't believe Diana got murdered. He was saying down his phone, "They're going to come, they're going to kill me." He was 40 years old, and he kept saying, "They're going to kill me now, they're going to kill me," and he just ended up dead. And everybody believes that it was, he just died, didn't he? Yeah. Well, he was an alcoholic. It must have been a stress, thinking that people were going to kill him. Now, he was killed, and the cops in Wheating, when they interviewed me for 6 hours, they said, did I want to go under a witness protection program? I said, "It's just News of the World." And they looked at me. And I said, "Oh." And then I thought of that Daniel Morgan. Daniel Morgan was murdered by an axe in a car park. At the time, I was working for Nationwide Investigations alongside the ex-MI5 guy, Gary Watkinson. And I heard about this private eye up the road that got an axe through his head. We were all talking about it, obviously, because where I work, they used to get attacked. They got firebombed once. It was a guy called Stuart Withers. He got firebombed. And a guy called Barry Trigwell. And Barry ended up murdered in his bath, beaten to death by South African mercenaries. So it was quite a wild, dangerous world at that point. I liked Barry a lot. I was due to go to stay with him just days before he was killed. Praise the Lord, that was a lucky escape. But not praise the Lord, he's dead. He was a good man. I respected him a lot. He respected me and my talent. I was talented as an investigator. Not taking data from a computer. Now, that is something that anybody can do. It's very boring. It's very hard work, because people say, "I'll ring you back. I don't believe you who you say you are." I hated it. And I left it behind, actually, whilst at Nationwide Investigations, when I became good at what's known as HUMINT, which is getting information out of people's heads. It's not illegal, Graham Johnson, and I was super good at it. So I never went back to doing that, what I knew wasn't right, and, trying to sort of blag people to get addresses and stuff like that. I saw it as beneath me, because it was more finely tuned to do HUMINT, and since I was so good, I didn't need to lower myself and do what everyone else was doing. So back to the News of the World. I sat with Nick Davies. He said to me, would I talk? he said I was being tailed. I said, who by? And he said, this is a right wing versus left wing. It still is political. And so he's left wing, isn't he? So presumably it's a right wing. So it's the news of the world. And yeah, this Sean Hall was murdered. And the cops, when they interviewed me, said to me, I said, do you think he was murdered? Because I laughed. When working for the News of the World, I knew them. I believed I knew them. So I thought, they're just a bunch of idiots. But I suppose idiots do kill. They were idiots to do the whole thing. First of all, Phil Hall arranged it to take in something like phone hacking, as they call it. But because it's such a stupid thing, because when you steal someone's phone messages, then they go into saved messages like have already been heard. Now, people start listening in past you don't have any more messages, here are your saved messages. They start listening past that, they're going to hear the messages that they've never heard before. And it's just stupid. But they bizarrely thought it was okay. So that is just thick. It's thick, basically. And the News of the World got stories anyway. Why do they need to do something illegal like that? They didn't bother asking me my advice. And it was Phil Hall that said hello. Yeah, it said it was okay. And yet Andy Coulson was the one who went to prison. That's bizarre. Phil Hall was the one who smeared my life earlier on in 1987. Connected to Ian Brady. I had written to Ian Brady thinking there was something odd about the crimes, invited to meet him, came away, somebody set me up, and I was sitting there with Phil Hall. They said, why are you writing to him? I actually had no idea. Again, that triggered to do something, triggered I saw and thought, oh, I should go and investigate him. So I don't think I went there from my own volition, actually. But I said, well, to this, I didn't know what to say to the reporter. I said, well, he might have been my adoptive father, natural blood, because I came from the same area. And my mother was young, my father was young, and he had been living around that area. And it crossed my mind, why am I so interested in this jerk? Is it maybe it's because my father, and he was supposedly a criminal, and that's why I was dumped in the orphanage by my schoolgirl mother. So I thought, well, since he's, paedophile, maybe it's, my natural father. So, but then I put that out of my mind. But I sat there and told Phil Hall all this because I was trying to explain to him this is why. Anyway, Phil Hall thought it was a good idea to put that on the front page of the paper. And he didn't put, oh, this is a girl. She's not sure why she's writing to him. He invited her. She thought this at one point, but not anymore. No. Phil Hall's a walking piece of shit. So he decided to get this young girl's life and ruin it and say, the headline, I am Brady's daughter, as if I was claiming it. Now, recently, a little scumbag commented on my YouTubes and said, weren't you the one that claimed to be? No, I wasn't. I had Phil Hall, who later was my boyfriend, say, I am. He said, I'm going to put it like that you're saying it, because that way nobody will come back to me, because when it gets proven it's not true, I can just say, well, that's what she said. So this is a crafty man, okay? And also this little groat said on the YouTube, oh, you got loads of money out of it. No, Phil Hall didn't pay me anything. I was front page, I was on the television, I was on the middle pages, and he paid me absolutely nothing. He also got a lot of sex out of me, didn't you, Phil? So, and also, bizarrely, it was Phil Hall that brought in the phone hacking. When I introduced John Boyle, not knowing that he was a phone hacker, it was Phil Hall that said yes. And then it was Phil Hall the very next day that said, I don't want Christine Hart working from the office. We shouldn't have someone like her that used to be a private investigator here. So I had crawled my way up from being smeared so badly on the front pages as blood linked to somebody like that. I had put it behind me, washed it off, gone from living practically on the street, which is where I ended up after that story came out, to working for the News of the World. And I clawed my way up 10 years later, and he knocked me down again. Talk about a demon. And it's a demon that never gets caught, that particular demon. Now, I'm glad I've never earned any money through knowing what Ian Brady is like and through visits of him, because it's bad. It's bad karma, people, okay? And God will always see you'll get money from a good direction if you turn money down from a bad direction. Now, I was never offered any money, so maybe I can't really say, oh, you were good, weren't you? I mean, had he have offered me money, I guess I would have taken it. So maybe it's the gods that were looking after me. So back to the news of the world and what they're like. So Sean Hall was murdered, for sure. And the cop said to me, do you want to go on a witness protection program? I said no and laughed. And then I said, you think Sean Hall was murdered? And the head cop there, I can't remember his name, really impressive guy with long, well, not really long, but floppy grey hair. He looked at me and looked at me as if, come on, of course he was murdered. And I was like, oh. And they used to check on me. They checked on me every week. I had to ring in. I had my own cop guarding me. I had to ring in. And one time I didn't ring in and it was Christmas. And next thing there was banging on the door. I thought, what? I was in my nightdress and opened the door and it was Wheating, two of them. They said, can we come in? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, you didn't ring in. I said, oh, I forgot it was Christmas. And, you know, I'm sorry. Anyway, they said, well, can we look round? And I'm like, yeah. And they went round every room. They went out the back. They went running upstairs. It was weird. Anyway, then they said, had I been threatened? I said, no. No, I haven't got an axe in my head. And they left. I should watch what I'm saying. I might end up dead. They left. So that was really weird. I wrote about all this in For the Kill, and there was a lawyer. There was a lawyer there, and the lawyer took all of it out, and she charged the publisher $6,000 for doing it, and everything was taken out. Everything that I knew that was of any value, the MI6 link to the phone hacking, taken out. There's nothing in For the Kill. Someone did a review of it from prison. They said, there's nothing in there, though. I wrote back to her, I said, why you're in prison is the fact that they took everything out of it. They gutted it for legals, which is always a shame with a tell-all book. And oddly, the lawyer that did it, a girl, ended up dead. She was walking down the street, got hit by a brick from a building site. How weird is that? Anyway, it got published, but by this time now, the publisher sat on it. They sat on it for a year. And by the time my book came out, the News of the World had closed. And my book, it flopped. It flopped so badly, so just amazing. I mean, the book, I spent years, and mostly it was on the Bianchi part of the book. At Bianchi's a really hard man to get inside. Now, again, I was drawn to write to him. He had an alter personality, and the alter personality was called Steve. Most people don't believe in this, merely because he gave a name for it, that it was a friend of his. Now, it doesn't matter what name he gave his alter. He had an alter, all right. Now, in the courtroom, you can see Ken. It's on YouTube. It's got a totally different personality as the one who's being Steve. Now, he's not acting. He's not a good actor. I've met the guy twice, and he's not Hollywood. Ooh, Hollywood missed out. Look at him acting. He's someone different. The energy is different, and the energy of the person in court is different. That's not a killer. The guy in the cell, that's the killer. And I thought it was fascinating. That's so real. That's different. And I contacted a doctor who'd examined him, Dr. Ralph Allison. He immediately sent me over this guy's medical records. Yes, Graham Johnson. I didn't ask for them. I got sent from. Isn't that weird? Anyway, I haven't got them any longer. Graham Johnson's got them because he stole, or maybe he didn't, but his people stole them from the river house they put me in. So I haven't got that anymore, but he sent me over this file. It's from the 70s, so I suppose people are allowed to bop it back and fro to journalists. And in it was a transcript from Steve Now, Steve was talking about the killing, and Steve literally was talking about a life outside the body. I mean, it wasn't Ken. He talked about Ken in a very disparaging way. And it's not like the bits and bobs you see on YouTube. No. That is just people covering up. This is for real. This is a different entity, and it was a fascinating entity because it literally didn't have a body, and it signed its name differently to Ken's. It signed under the form it had to fill in. It said, "Name your parents." Now Ken put his parents. On the other part, put no parents, and different writing. Different. I mean, it's just being an energy reader, being a psychic. When I read it, I felt chills go down my spine. Literally, the hairs stick up. I could see this particular entity. Could see it in the astral, and it is a being, and it's almost a twin of Bianchi, but not Bianchi. I mean, you meet Bianchi again. Brady has the same thing going on that alters. You meet them. You don't meet a serial killer. People are so jealous. Oh, you met a serial killer. I haven't met a serial killer. Do you understand? Okay. When you go in to meet either Ian Brady or Kenneth Bianchi, you meet the greengrocer up the road. You meet a normal person. Do you understand? The killing part in these serial killers isn't present when you're with them. Now that gets triggered. I don't know why it gets triggered, but I do believe these men are part of the program, part of that James Casbolt experimental program. I don't know what for. It kind of seems like a soldier thing, doesn't it? There are others. Billy Hughes, who ran across the field, he was a robber, went into a house, killed all the members of the family, put them in different rooms, murdered them all separately. The way they behave and the way the serial killers behave, it's almost like a soldier that's gone out of control. And yes, they do grab the low-hanging fruit, as it's called, women mostly. They and some children in obviously in Brady's case, that they just grab whatever they can get. Men, obviously, men will fight them, but it's a killing thing, isn't it? It's a killing thing. It's like a crazed military person. Do you understand? I believe they're part of experiments. Clearly they've gone wrong, or perhaps they haven't gone wrong. Perhaps they are like domestic terrorists. Perhaps they're there to say to us, this is evil, because it talks about evil in the Bible. We know that evil is present in the world. If there wasn't such a thing as serial killers, what would we be looking at this evil? We'd look closer, wouldn't we? And we'd realize that the people that are running the planet are actually evil, that the world right now is evil. Yeah, but we just think evil. Oh yeah, serial killers. Oh yeah, in Brady. Oh yeah, Kenneth Bianchi, Hillside Strangler. That's evil. But what if that's just a creative, massive red herring for our minds to think, oh, that's evil? Yeah, in which case they would be programmed to kill in that way, programmed to kill in that heinous, disgusting way, like Bianchi murdering women and throwing them in the street, throwing them naked in the street of Los Angeles for people to see. That's disgusting. It's just disgusting. And then, the two women in the back of the car, just left in their car, like hanging out of their car. I mean, it's just gratuitous, isn't it? There's no need for it. It's not like, oh, that was done for sexual reasons. Really? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Steve, if you read the transcripts, if they care to read the transcripts, Steve, the program part that would have been triggered to do was purely... wasn't sexual at all. These crimes aren't motivated by sex. No, they're not. Not at all. So I read the Steve's transcripts, and it was a demonic being. I could see it astrally. It's a demonic being, and it's influenced. And it's interesting, last week's show was about the Greys, and there's been a whole controversy about that and going on right now. But I tried to investigate Bianchi. I literally was dying to know what happened. A complete obsession with me to get to the bottom. Now, to get to the bottom of it, I didn't need to be speaking to Ken. But that was what I got. Now, I got that for 3 years. Ken. Boring Ken. boy, he's boring. And he's a brick wall. Now he knows what he's got going on inside him. He knows there are alters that come forward and one goes back, and he doesn't have much control. He knows that's going on, but he wants to get out. So he's not going. Anyone that comes for him, he's going to like buckle up, and he buckled up. Even when I went to see him, was trying to look deep into his eyes. He knew, and he was on lockdown. But that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant anyway. I mean, I tried to psychometrize his hand. I touched his hand. I touched his glasses. I'm a psychometrist. I couldn't bring up any pictures. He was cloaked. Now, I ask you, he wears his glasses all the time. You're not telling me I pick up some metal glasses and I can't read images of that. I could read images from anybody's. I couldn't from his. I got nothing. So he is cloaked, and he knows he's cloaked because that part of him, that healing altar, is satanic, is demonic. It knows about things like that. It knows there's a little bitch coming along that's got skills and is going to try and read, so it will clean it. Yeah. So that part of him is demonically charged, and that part of him is half the sick individual that's been traumatized and abused, and half a demonic entity. So it will have a sort of like magic power. Now, Bianchi can astrally travel. He can remote view. He can do all that. He can do what a super soldier can do. Kenneth Bianchi is a super soldier. Do you understand? Okay? So that is what is going on with these people. And I don't know why I was investigating, whether it was me looking or whether it was something that was triggered in me. But I eventually saw. Now, it took a long, long time. And it took me astrally going for him as well. Literally, I would astrally go and meet him astrally and try and get the goodies. Getting the goodies meaning, why'd you do it, bitch? What was going on with you? Was it programming? At that time, I didn't know about programming, but I was just trying to find out. Eventually, I got him in a position. It took a long, long time, astrally, and I saw the greys. Now, they just came up, and finally, I saw them. As soon as I saw those little fetus-faced, bug-eyed greys, which I do not like, seriously, as soon as I saw them, I just withdrew, and it was just like odd. It's almost like if I had loads and loads of tentacles going out and all plugged into him at once and plugged into his area. They all withdrew at once, and I had absolutely no interest in talking to that individual. So I don't know whether it was somebody using me as a puppet to check him out or whether it was me. I don't think I'm that bright, so I think it was probably somebody using me to find out about him. But I didn't know such a thing existed as programming, or such a thing existed. I know greys existed. I'd had deep dreams about them, about being taken, about being examined, mainly through my teeth. And so I knew about them for sure. But I didn't know about programming. So after I put all this in the book, that was in the book too. And it came out. Now, it came out after the News of the World closed, so nobody took a blind bit of notice. There was so much information in there. This lawyer took it all out. She was murdered by a flying brick. I mean, please check that out. I can't remember her name, but it did happen. I found out ages later. Is it connected? I don't know. But she died. But she charged £6,000 to my publisher. I didn't get paid. It's quite funny. They said to me, "Oh, it's in the small print that you pay for that." So I didn't get paid anything for 3 years hard work for all the study on Bianchi, for all the phone hacking, writing down what happened, all of that book. I took a long time writing it, a long time editing it. The editor. Good editor worked with me on it, like literally went through each page. You could do better here. Why not you make this, add more here. I'd take that away. Oh, God. It went on a year and she sucked my blood, I swear. I was drained. Good girl, very talented. So I was exhausted, and you expect a payday after that. I got nothing, I tell you, listener, nothing. And yeah, I didn't get anything for the first book I wrote. The publisher called it a title I didn't want to call it, changed it, and disappeared with the money. But I expected, then I published Searching for Daddy. I got paid for that. And then since I got the advance, I didn't get anything else. And I was desperate when I published In for the Kill and got nothing. I mean, I can't believe you could work so hard on something and get nothing. Not a penny, but that happened. And it was after that that Nick Davies, or around that time, Nick Davies said, blow the whistle. And had I blown the whistle, I suppose In for the Kill would have, I think that book was taken off me and killed, basically, just smothered, Nobody talks about the connection between MI6 and the phone hacking. Nobody. Everyone talks about Glenn Mulcair. He was just an office boy of Boyle. Nobody has profiled Boyle at all. Why not? Why not? Because really, the phone hacking was to get control of the press. There's no investigations goes on, and now Max Mosley's group with Impress, who were slagging me off online, and if they wanted to, they could come and kill me. They probably will eventually. I'll probably get murdered. They want control. They want control, and they want the press to be a left-wing press and to be what they want it to be, Hollywood. But don't think this is good, listener, that, it'll be left-wing, that'll be great. Well, no, it won't. It will be a commie kind of thing. And there will be no investigation. So they will go about their merry way, and their merry way of evil. Do you understand? It's evil. It's evil to say that I have leaked stuff from the Priory, that I pranced about the Priory, calling myself Dr. Penelope Harris and, leaking stuff on celebrities. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Just because somebody asked me to do it doesn't mean I did it. Just because I say to them, well, that'll be extra money then, still doesn't mean I did it. Do you understand? But they've written that. And that's evil. Because what they're trying to do is destroy me. And they're doing it because I'm being evicted here. I can't get work because they've slagged me so much. They're doing it. Well done. But you know what? There's a God in charge of this place. So you're doing the devil's work and thinking, haha, but there's a God of this place. Do you understand? And while you're urinating in his face, actually, I think you should take a step back and remember, hey, you're not immortal. You haven't got long to go. And you're going to a place where it's his kingdom. Do you understand? It's his kingdom there. And you're going to be in a bad way. You're really going to get smashed underfoot like a cockroach. So you might do your business here. And bitches, you know this, Barry Trigwell died by being battered to death in the bath. You really think I'm scared of your people, your men coming here and battering me? Now do it, bitches. Do it. I just know I'm going to have the last laugh when you go out into my world and you get crushed like a cockroach. You know what? I go into that world and I get protected and I'm like pretty on side with the creator. You go there and that's for eternity, bitches. Do you understand? I've really had my life knocking on a bit now. You can come batter me to death if you want, Mosley. Do you understand? Do it, bitch. Yeah? Do it. You're whipping me, aren't you? Yeah? Are you getting aroused by that? Are you? You enjoying it? Whip. Oh, I did that. Oh, a little bit harder. That's it. Say I did this. Say I did that. How dare you? How dare you say I did this and that? The proper law with your impress, your whip, the proper law, you think somebody did something, they're guilty, you go to the damn police. Do you understand? And you let me have my chance in court to say whether I did or didn't found guilty or innocent. You don't smear me. Do you understand? And when I go and do a blog about you, say, you wait now to see what else we say about you. Really? You think I haven't got listeners? Do you? You think I've got people listening and witnessing who don't like what's going on right now? You don't think that I've got people like that? Think I'm all alone in the dark? I am not all alone in the dark. And I tell you this, I have a lot of power in the other world. Do you understand? And that's a lot more power than money, a lot more power. Do you understand? Because you don't understand. You're a silly man. And I tell you this, your father, because I can reach on the other side, I'm a medium, he's not happy with you. Do you understand? Not happy. Where do you think you're going with no bell on your bike? Maxie? Where? Where are you going? Huh? Where you headed? Where are you headed? Where's your life headed? You're living on hate. You're rolling on hate. And you know what? I understand it because the Daily Mail were really bad to you, really bad. But you don't fight fire with fire. Do you understand? You won't win. You will not win. I for 1 minute you might be a good man. By looking at you, I thought he seems like a good man. Even though you went on that chat show with a woman journalist, they all said, "Oh, you were really bad," and she was really good. I didn't think she was really good at all. I thought she was unfair on you, and I thought actually you were good. You didn't lose your temper. I thought that's a good man. But from the way you treated me, smearing me online, so I end up getting evicted, so I can't put the bread on the table to feed my child. That's bad. Do you understand? And then I write to your empress, and you just ignore me, and you think, ha ha ha. Oh, that's fine. We can say she's sworn and been inappropriate, and that's why we're ignoring her. Really? You want to whip a child? Do you really want to do that? Okay, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Oh, what's the next step? You threaten me again. You threaten me over the radio show. You come round and you batter me. Come round. Come round, Max. Come round. Come beat me up. Come on, send some thugs, yeah? Graham Johnson knows some thugs. Send them round. I think he's got thugs that don't like him too. No, actually, he's not a thug. He's kind of more powerful than that. Come on, send the boys round. Come on, do it. Yeah, it'll feel good. You'll feel good. You'll feel powerful. How many years have you got left? How many years of feeling that powerful? 10, if you're lucky. Then what will happen then? You go to Yahweh's well, bitch, and that's my well, bitch. Do you understand? And that's forever. And you will absolutely be obliterated. No matter how hard you pray to Satan. Satan's here. This is Satan's world. Once you leave this world, you're going into other dimensions. It is not controlled by Satan. Do you know who Satan is? Satan's those greys. Satan's the dark, dirty, demonic greys. And Satan's us. Satan's humanity. It means attacker on God. All this arrogance, all this having a good life and never saying anything to God. All these people that are being targeted because they've got, a lot of them, it's because they've got extra dimensions to them. And that's why they're being targeted by the system. There's like a firewall. And if you wake up, it sort of bings something in the firewall, yeah? And we're being controlled by these beings, we're controlled by the matrix, but there are other ways, and the other ways that you get the antidote to targeting is, I mean, it's horrible, it's like being slapped all the time. Your first feeling is to start feeling a loss of the will to live, and then once you get it and it gets harder and harder, and it does, the more you penetrate, the more you realize. The more I've been reading the Psalms, the more I've been reading my Bible and discovering Yahweh, the Lord, the Creator, and talking and having really close communication that makes me realize that this place doesn't matter, not one jot. The only thing that matters is my relationship with him. As it gets stronger and stronger, the slaps get harder and harder, and as they get harder and harder, you can see how inane they are. You can see how absolutely inane they are. I mean, I have had the most horrific nightmares. I'm going through the most horrific time. At the end of the day, you just focus on, look what they did to Jesus, you know? Okay, so I live on the street and I eat out of bins. So I get the shit beaten out of me, my bones crunched. I still have my relationship with Yahweh. It's still supernatural. It's still strong. I still have a close communication with my guardian angel. What is that compared to, I don't know, what do these rich people get off on? A big house. Or what? I've met Lily Allen. I mean, what do they get off on? They haven't really got anything. They've got nothing. And they will continue to have nothing. And when they leave this body, they'll have even less of nothing. Oh, what a shame. What a shame they're like that. What a shame they're running like hamsters on a wheel that's absolutely going absolutely nowhere. Because it's all about hate. It's all about negativity. It's nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love. So I think we're going to have a break in a moment. I have strayed off the path of talking about being targeted. So I'll go back to that. So the news of the world. Did they kill Sean Hall? Yes, they did. But it doesn't mean that hacked off are the good guys. They're the bad guys too. Do you understand? They're the bad guys too. So it might be bad guy and bad guy fighting bad guy. That does happen sometimes. Yeah? Doesn't mean all something's good. You know, good isn't really washing here at the moment. It's got pretty dark. The only good you're going to find is when you get down on your knees and you pray to Jesus Christ. That's the only good you're going to find right now. Okay? So you need to do that. You need to read the Bible. I did a program about prayer the other day. You need to pray the Psalms. That will really help. Psalm 23. It's got magic and power. You read it every day. And I'll put some prayers below that you can read and some unlocking passwords to those prayers. Somebody told me that and it really worked for me. Lately I've been feeling stronger and stronger and stronger, even though my life has become like a storm. It's chaos, but I get order out of that chaos. And then, you know, this targeting is chaos, so that's how it works. It's chaos magic, do you understand? So when you wake up and you trip that wire, or even maybe before you've woken up, you get targeting, then something is tripped in the matrix and you get it all come down at once. And what you get is chaos in your life. It might be through illness, through cancer, through money, but you get sucked into a death dive and things feel chaotic. There's no order anymore. And the only place you're going to get order is going to the Bible, reading the Psalms, and connecting to God. You can talk to Yahweh, you can talk to him. I know it's hard because God has just been, you know, the word God even, it's like, I prefer to say Yahweh because that just means my Lord in Hebrew or something similar. But Creator, I mean, you can call whatever you want, but it's nice to find out these names, these ancient names. El Shaddai is a good name, but I know that God more. The God, he's a creator God, and you can have a relationship with that God. Other people have done it in the past. They've done it in the Bible, and it is possible to do that. And once you do that, you get your order. There's no other way of getting order, because this world is chaos. Okay, it is chaos, but often, you know, you get people, oh, they've got their mansion, they've got their friends, they've got their money in the bank, and it doesn't feel like chaos, it feels like order. But they're leaning on things that are Satan's world, you know, the house, the money, and reality will come in, chaos will come in, something will come in. But be glad that it's coming in because it's waking you up. If you're living that way, you're living with a disconnection to what's going on in this earth right now. It's chaos, chaos. And if you're not paying attention to that, then it will come in. So I'm just going for a break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
My name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday at 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! It's just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. Oh, what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, it's Christine Hart back, and thank you, Jerry, for standing by me there. That's really nice. Yeah, so listen, I hope you're getting the point. If I end up battered to death in wherever I'm living, it might be on the street because that's where Max Mosley wants to put me. If anything happens to me, it's Max Mosley that has targeted me and murdered me. So just thought I'll let you know. He's making out he's the good guy. He's not the good guy, okay? There's no good guy in that battle. One wanted all control of right wing, the other one all control of left wing. The people don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about the people. We get squashed one way or another. Now, last week I had a lovely guest on my show. Was it the week before? And, you know, she didn't want the show to go out because there was a whole argument with her and Miles Johnson and, you know, stuff had gone out. She didn't want to. She's having a career in politics, which is fine, or going to go back into. She was quite senior in the political world. And that's fine. But one thing I did get from the show was that, you know, the Greys do want to take us over. Now, they had a agenda. There's an agenda, and I believe they are linked with this programming. Why? This MK Ultra programming monarch thing that's going down. Why? and linked with the press and what's going down with them as well. Now, she very kindly shared with me that they want to become us and make us like them. So what they do is take our hearts. This goes back to what Max was preaching and why he was murdered, because he was good. He was good at this message. Now, this has also been covered over, yeah, do you understand? It's been covered over by people who go, he was going to reveal a list of paedophiles, you know, so he sounds more like James Caswell, who also had this list thing going down. No. Max's power was in the fact that he was a phenomenal speaker, okay? Now, he moved people, he moved their hearts, right? And he knew about everything that was going on. He knew about the Greys and their agenda. He knew that they were attacking the human heart. So what they do, our human heart is what makes us different from them, or we would just be like them. Basically, they were formed from, you know, we were all formed and we were interfered with by the Anunnaki. So they were interfered with too, but they were made very base, but they also have higher technology. We are made, you know, where we have still access to the God connection. Yeah, that wasn't wiped out in us. And it's made bigger, and our hearts have the power, the way we love. For instance, take Max Mosley. Now, Max has been attacked, but he doesn't fight back with the flame of love. He doesn't fight back with his heart. If he did that, he might be, he might do something good. I don't believe his agenda is good, because, you know, precisely because the way he's acted with me, okay? And he wants that hidden. You know, I was burgled. I've been smeared online, things that I didn't do, but they're like, oh, we think you did because this, we see this. Now, there's things there that have got a massive explanation. Now, I've sat with lawyers for the other side and I've gone through painstakingly bit by bit. I wasn't guilty of that thing. Now, nobody gets smeared. So he just behaved like a schoolboy, schoolyard thug. No, it's worse than that, because I believe he's dangerous. And when I tried to speak to him, just plain ignore me. And that's the woman. I said, my child's suffering here. I need to put food on the table. So that's not a good man. You're dealing with somebody not nice. So he won't win anything. I tell you, Max, you will not win anything. You can batter the shit out of me, which you probably will, but you will never win anything, and you will never be happy. By the way, I've done a ritual on you, and the ritual is a ritual of energetics, okay? It's a magic ritual, and all it means is whatever you do to attack me, it will come back to you. It will turn back to you. Do you understand? Turn back to you, turn back to you. You do loving things to me, that will turn back to you. You do bad, you get back for whatever. The impact you have on my life will impact on your life in the same way. Do you understand? And it won't be lightweight impacting. If I'm like getting sucked down a hole and not able to breathe, then you will get the same back to you. Do you understand? So that's what's happening right now. And I became good at magic. I'm psychic and I'm a shamanic practitioner naturally. I learned about that. I studied under different people. But I was never into ritual. But you have to get into ritual when you get into this fight. And people might say, but it says in the Bible not. But Yahweh can do magic. Rolling back the Red Sea, asking Moses to throw down his staff and it turned into a serpent. That's all magic. It's the Catholics that didn't want that. They wanted their priests to be the magicians. The priests can turn water into wine by holding their hands over it. But these priests, they're just all paedophiles. They're greedy. They're not psychic. They're not shamanic. I studied under Father Michael Barrow, who's a Jesuit who baptized my son at the Osterley Seminary. And I studied with priests there. I was the only woman. And he taught us, you know, how to do the psychic thing, how to read bits out of the Bible and to use your imagination to shamanically journey, to like vision it and just imagine you're there on the boat with Jesus, and how to do that. And then he would say, who's got a result, who's got a vision? And I would be the only one that put my hand up. The priests there, they all went on to be Catholic priests. They didn't get the visions. Therefore, they aren't talented enough really to be priests. Yet we get them. We go along on Sunday and we get them. They're just normal men. They're supposed to be magicians. They're supposed to be visionaries and shamans, and they're supposed to give us wisdom when they speak. It's supposed to be inspired. Now, there are some priests that are like that. Father Michael Fuel is one of them. You listen to him and it's like magic. And now he's down in Wales. And I am sure that he can perform alchemy on the altar. He's he oozes spirituality. He's a great gift. But not all of them are like that. And, we're getting shortchanged. And now it's got to the point where, the floodgates are open and we are allowed to study magic. We are allowed to connect with God and do our own prayers, meditations, shamanic journeying. That's the point it's got to here. And so basically these greys are formed by the Anunnaki. They are part of them. They do their bidding. But there are human beings who have connected with them. We all know about that. That's going on. And they've swapped, technology. So we've advanced in technology. But in return, they have given the greys access to us. And they have mostly the people in control are hybrid or have strong attachments of these greys. And basically they need our blood. They need our energy. They need us to feel fear. And that's why the systems that are in place at the moment are all very painful. And the people at the bottom are being squeezed by them. And they're feeling fear. So many suicides going on right now. So many teenage suicides as well. But if you watch Netflix, and they're saying, oh, it's because of Netflix. If you watch it, there's so much blood. There's so much violence. Even their MK Ultra'd up serial killers, these boys, they, normally 25-year-olds, they've gone into prison, they've gone into Borstal. That's where they get hold of them, and they use them as experiments, and they program them, they attach the grey to them, and they go off killing in really nasty ways. And there's a new film out about Sharon Tate, and you watch it, it's like watching a snuff movie. So these young people watch that and think, I don't want to live in this world. I'm not going to get a job. There's nothing going on. Especially in the UK, we've been swamped by half of Eastern Europe, and that's a big country. It's bigger than ours, but everyone from there has come here, this tiny little island. There's no chance of people getting apprenticeships now. And if you're not good enough to get your O-levels, you're going to go under. You're going to be on the dole, and they don't like you being on the dole. So you're going to get that'll stop after a while, and you'll have to sweep the street or clean a toilet. I mean, it's painful, and we will become grey. We will become miserable and literally become greys. You see, they've made us living this despicable, unhappy, miserable, suicidal existence, and they've leached off us, and they become more like us, more powerful, more in control, and they've basically swapped us around and taken over. So that is their agenda, and that is what's happening now. I mean, if you are in your ivory tower, in your mansion, and you've got lots of money, you won't make your world grey. It will be coloured, but you only have to take a peek outside and see what's going on and see the chaos and see how bad it's getting right now. And if you're someone like me who's woken up, and I know others of you are woken up, it kind of does a ting in the grey dome over us all, and you alert them. And of course they go down, and they've got their little fetus, like little carriage, disgusting bodies, and they will then attack you. You'll get bad thoughts into your head, you'll get demonic dreams, but there is a way of, there is an antidote that, the Bible, Jesus said, I am the gate. He knew what was going on. He knew what was going to happen in the future. He knew that there was this grey mass of putrid energy that was going to crush the green earth. And he said, I am the gate. You are the lost sheep. And basically, if we read the Bible, we can succumb to chaos. It is chaos. But we have to throw our shoulders back, hold our head up, and don't be bullied by it. It is something coming at you. For instance, Max Mosley isn't Max Mosley. He's just controlled. Yeah, I'm not taking it personally. But they will come at you, and they will try and crush you. And they crush you by the chaos. Do you see this chaos? They know that human beings want order, and that we will cease to want to be here if it is chaos. So they're turning Earth into a chaotic place. So what you've got to do is stand with your shoulders high, your head up, and look it straight in the eye. Look it straight in the eye, the chaos coming at you. And you shout the Psalms. You shout the Psalms. I go listen below when I put this on YouTube. You shout the Psalms at them. There's also little unlockings to the Psalms as well. It's magic, but who cares? Gloves are off at this point. And one of them is Psalm 23, one is Psalm 91, and you read them daily, read them with passion, and then you will find yourself growing in stature. For instance, I had a bailiff come, he tracked my car and he goes, and cut your car's ours now, and I'm being evicted as well. And I got to the top of my stairs and I felt panic. I thought I was going to black out. Again, no order. I thought, well, if I get evicted, well, I am being evicted, but I thought, if I don't get helped, I'll sleep in my car. But you see, this guy can't, your car's ours, your car's taken. So literally I thought, right, it's going to be the street. And so I panicked and I went to black out. And just as I went to black out and I gripped the wall and I heard the Psalm 23 and it came through my head and just the words. And if you read it, you will hear the words. And it's just so powerful, and I didn't ever realize that. And just the words were going around my head. Though I shall walk in the valley of evil, God will be by my side. I forget the bloody words now, but they actually came up in my head and went round in my head. And I heard them, and I straightened up, and I thought, fight this, fight it. And I rang and I spoke to my bank manager, and I got some money loaned to me to pay, and I rang a number that cost £5 per minute, and I was on the phone for half an hour. So no, that's another bill I have to pay that I shouldn't have had to pay. But but I felt ill after he'd gone. But what I should focus on is look at that, look how God came in at that point, and all because I'd been reading the Psalms, and that saved me. It saved me from just passing out and not being able to cope. So chaos came in, Satan came to the door, and yet I heard God spoke to me. And after that point, I was sitting down one day just quietly, and an angel came to me. It was in my mind's eye and said, you were guardian angel, and told me its name. And now when I feel bad or feel out of control and overwhelmed by the chaos, I call on that angel. And of course I do speak to Yahweh day in and day out. There's not a day goes past when I don't. And I actually had a dream recently, and I feel a lot of fear. I do feel fear. I'm having a lot of terror dreams about living on the street, about, eating out of bins, and really strong. And that is part of the attack. You're supposed to feel as if you're down a hole. I do feel as if I'm down a hole. And I woke up that day and the dream was like really bad. And I was somehow separated from my son. And my son, then after years went past, didn't know me. And then after he said, I don't know her, when I was a tramp, I then went off and just tried to throw myself off a building. And there's a lot of that going on these days. In reality, people are throwing themselves off. People, as a pensioner who just had £5 left and threw herself off, died from her injuries. We're trying to escape from the chaos. It's chaos. Too many people overcrowding here. There's no jobs, no money, no help. It's chaos. That is what they wanted. That's their agenda. And humanity can't live in that chaos, okay? And I'm saying the people that think, well, I've got order, I've got this mansion, I've got all this money. Chaos will come in and get you too, okay? So start helping people, and you'll push it away by helping. Kindness, helping, help, kindness, do what you can, and connect to God as well. So you can't build a refuge against Satan when you're in Satan's world. Do you see? It's like me going to live with Max Mosley and thinking he's not going to come in when I'm sleeping, pull back the covers and start whipping that ass of mine. Do you see I don't mind as long as he wears that Nazi uniform. I'm joking. So you can't hide from Satan in Satan's world, and don't think, well, I don't care. I like Satan, and no. Satan doesn't like you. Do you understand? Satan. We're talking about the Greys now. That they don't like us. Okay, they don't like us. And even if you become the most hard-hearted individual ever, they're never going to like you. Okay, they don't like humans. They just don't like humans. They think we're scum. So, and they don't like our God connection. They can never get that God connection. So it's like an envy. It's like the bitchiest person you've ever met who really hates you because it's envious. Think of that. That's how they think of us. And it's acted out in serial killers. You see how serial killers, and Max spoke about that too, Max Spears. He called it the dark feminine coming at us. And it's like, it's not an overt or more honest, like punching, like violence, which is horrific in itself. But it's a dark feminine, which is like secretive. Like he died through poisoning. He said it's a dark poisoning. And if you look at serial killers, that's a dark feminine crime. They take someone off the street. They take them to a secret place and they torture them in secret. Nobody can hear them screaming. Do you see how it's hidden, dark, and it's not male? It's a dark feminine thing. Same with how Impress are fighting me. It's not honestly. It's not we think you've done wrong, so we'll actually call the police. And if they can't get the police, they approach me via a lawyer and say, well, what's this in this and what's that in that? Not via thug who threatens to kick my door down. No, they do it properly and decently. Have they done that? No, they prefer to just attack. You won't get anywhere. You won't. So back to the point. I was dealing with Nick Davis. I was going to talk to Nick Davis of The Guardian and talk about Boyle and MI6 engineering the phone hacking, because it all just... He ended up writing a book just talking about Glenn Mulcair. And we still have an argument to this day where I say, well, you don't mention Boyle and the MI6 connection. He's like, oh, I've mentioned it here on page. I've mentioned Boyle. He could be a dustbin man, the way he's mentioned him. He's deliberately thrown away his name. So he could say, well, I mentioned him. But it's like Fred Blogs. Yeah, well, Glenn Mulcair used to work for Fred Blogs. And you just carry on. Come on, Nick, I'm not stupid, and nor are you. And then you got the payoff. So your lips are sealed right now. In fact, you're even though you told me not to mind Graham Johnson because nobody listens to him, you're now in bed with him. So what a shame, Nick. I thought you were a good guy, but there were hints that you weren't really, what you like to make out that you are. You're easily brought. I'll put it that way. So I went home that night. I said to him, yes, I would talk. I went home and I dreamt. This is before I knew about Monarch Mind Control. I dreamt about white rabbits. And in the dream, a white rabbit came up in front of me. And I'm like, ooh, because it was quite realistic. And then I found myself walking on like a bed of white rabbits. And they were underfoot. And there was like rabbits everywhere being disemboweled. It was disgusting. Anyway, I knew it was an occult attack. I didn't know enough about it. And I know that if you have dreams like that, the best way is to wake up as much as you can in it and confront the attacker and demand, which is the law of the astral, demand to know who it is. So I basically turned around, faced these disemboweled like rabbits everywhere. Oh, it was horrible. I still remember it. I still see it. It's wow. And I said, who are you? And they replied all in unison, Murdoch's army. And I woke up and I thought, I'm not going to talk to The Guardian. And I rang Nick Davis. I said, I'm not going to talk to you. And he goes, but I thought you said you were. And I said, no. And he said, may I ask what changed your mind? I said, yeah, bunnies. And he said, what do you mean? I said, but bunnies? What, bunnies? I had to dream about bunnies and I'm not going to, sorry. He obviously thought I was nuts, but it was horrific. Now, the second time I came across that, In for the Kill came out, and again it was investigating these serial killers, putting that down to the Greys. That got taken out because she said, oh, you can't put that in there, you make yourself sound crazy. That got taken out. All the stuff on the MI6 got taken out. The lawyer died, got hit by a brick. How bizarre is that? I didn't get any money about the book. The book, they put it in a large paperback so they couldn't get it in Smith's. It's not worth reading anyway because it was all gutted. I didn't get paid a penny. But the interesting fact, this Anna came and said to me, "You're a monarch, you're a slave." And these slaves are controlled by white rabbits. How interesting is that? And Fritz Springmeier's done a bit saying that they're often orphans at Catholic orphanages like Casbolt. And my life, I'm an orphan from a Catholic orphanage, Crusader Rescue. But I had to go back. My brother and I went back twice a year with these parties, concentrate on the jelly and ice cream. Okay, it doesn't matter. Jelly and ice cream, really? Have I contacted them and had this out with them? Yes. They say they've got a file on me. Why are they keeping a file on me when I'm not their child anymore? No, this is before I accused them of that. They were like, "Oh, we keep cutting file on you. But you're one of ours." Yeah, of course I'm one of yours. The bishop running the place got an OBE. Why do you get that? These places are so sinister. So, and the family I was put with was a military-connected family and one of their nuns. And actually, it was two cousins who were married. How sick is that? Cousins that grew up together. He was 10 years older. When she got to 16, he married her. He was 26. I'm sorry, I was a paedophile man. And he was a paedophile because as soon as I went there, he started on me sexually. So, but, okay. I just can't believe the whole thing. So she told me that I was one of those people, and it all made sense that I had, been used in that way, because I looked at the IRA, I looked at the dreams, manipulated to go out there, and I had gone to no-go areas in Dundalk. I'd got close to this one and that one, and then they'd ended up in prison. And I thought, is that my business? And then I thought, hang on, they've ended up in prison. I just finished having an affair with them. And then I turned around and thought, well, the news of the world is destroyed. And I engineered that. And I started to think, what am I? I've done that. And I've done that too. What does that make me? But I wasn't doing it of my own brain. I was being manipulated as a little donkey to do it. And then, of course, they say, well, when they don't need a monarch anymore, they get tossed away. I think it was 2010, I felt a change in the energy of my life. Now, I'd always been helped. I felt helped. Well, obviously, if you're one of their donkeys, they make sure the donkey has hay and, a little water bucket there. And, I felt helped in life. I would go somewhere and think, I should be looking for somewhere to live. I'm in America. But I used to get a sort of a message, a thought would come through. No, don't, just relax. And then on a certain day, I would get a thought come through, go and get a newspaper. And I would go and get the newspaper and it would say, look down the column. And I would look down and then say that there. And I would circle it and go and live in this amazing place that would work out fantastic. So I lived my life in that way, being helped and guided. And I just thought, that was life. And when I saw people that weren't doing swimmingly, I used to call them losers. And look at the losers, they're not trying. Because I thought, this was life, how I was getting it. But I was being helped all the way along the line. I didn't, by my own little brain, go and work for these ex-MI6 agencies and get trained by ex-military people. I was pushed there. I didn't go to Fleet Street by my own volition. I didn't get close to Ian Brady by my own volition. None of these were my ideas of life. I was a little donkey. If I'd have been left to my own life, I probably would have just had a little quiet little life somewhere like everyone else. And when I would say I was just dropped and not used and unplugged, I think getting to a certain age, or maybe it was waking up, I don't know, but it was something changed in my life and something bad happened to me. And I remember crying about it and thinking, this is serious, things are different in my life. And it wasn't that bad things would start happening to me. It was just I was left to my own devices and I have no idea how to function properly in life. I have no idea that you should do this because this is good and you should do that and that is good and you have to get in this position. I was like a newbie here, a new arrival. I didn't know the run-ins of things. People know at an early age You do this, you do that, you save this, you save that, you have insurance for that, this is covered, or you shouldn't spend there because you'll need that for that. And they're wise. My son is wiser than me. I'm not wise because I've lived a life where I've been carried and helped, almost like a wife, but not a wife. But you get these wives and they've been supported, and you think, and they say, oh, how do people manage it? And because they've never done it. But I suppose you think that I should be able to, rather than them, because they've been out, in Dundalk with the Real IRA. I've been in cages with serial killers. People might think, but you've been doing all that, and if you can do that, surely you can keep your wits to keep a roof over your head. But it doesn't really work like that, you see. I might know how to get inside someone's head. I might know, I might be able to go to sleep, think about someone's picture, and then know what to say to them to trigger them, to get them to talk to me. I can do all that, but when it comes to paying bills and when it comes to sorting out this worldly things, I don't have the first foggiest clue, and it makes you stupid, And I had a part, and that part was also my sexual part, and it was very devil may care, and that would come forward while I was doing these particular things that I just described, and would be completely fearless of life. But I somehow, when I got left to the wayside and not used and unplugged or whatever, that part of me seemed to not be there. I didn't seem to have access to it anymore. So basically, I carried on living my life, not feeling sexual because that had gone with that part, and feeling a little weak, pretty damn weak, and pretty scared and pretty mouse-like. So the last 10 years have been living like that, and it hasn't been fun. There has been, I've got my son, and there's been moments that obviously, times I've put on a brave face for him to make sure he's had a good childhood. And he has had a good childhood, but I feel sometimes as if I'm clinging onto the cliff edge. I haven't got that part of me that went through all those things, that is strong, that is fearless, that probably could think their way out of a hole. I'm basically just got my, just kind of quite, average, normal self, but it's quite scared to find themselves in a position of being my age and not having not one tiny asset, because of what Max Mosley's doing to me, not one chance of getting a job or not one chance of putting food on the table. So I find myself in a position where I have to throw myself back on Yahweh. I've got no choice. There's nothing else for me. So I've been doing that and praying madly, and it has worked. It's coming in. And God said to me last night in a dream, I will raise you up. I'm not of a mind anymore that I want goodies or anything. This is Satan's kingdom. I don't want goodies here. I don't want any of his shit. I don't want a mansion. I don't want to talk to famous people. I don't want money. I don't want it. It's bad. It's all dirty. All of it's dirty. It belongs to those greys that control this matrix they've made up, and they are dirty. They are dirty beings. They're what we know as demons. I don't want anything in a demonic world while people are walking around the streets suffering. And I see it now with eyes. I see people begging on the streets, and I see people going in and out of anthropology and spending 500 quid. Well, if you're spending 500 quid in anthropology, why can't you give that poor man there like £2 to get a sandwich? And we live like that and think it's okay, and it's not okay. It's disgusting. And there's lots of places that need voluntary work and stuff like that, yet these people, there's a lot of housewives living in mansions. They go and meet each other for coffee and they talk crap to each other about, what they're going to buy and what fashion is in. And even get the Kardashians, walking around like queens. They're not queens. And I saw one of them saying, it's Showtime in Vogue. Why is it Showtime? She doesn't do anything. She hasn't got a talent. She's dressed up in those ostrich feathers, and it's silly. Why isn't she helping the homeless? Why is she doing something? And they teach the young how to live, but our young haven't got lives where they've got money and stuff. It's getting harder and harder. And they're all killing themselves, teenagers these days. And we have to show them where to live. So I Yahweh said he would rise me up, and I want to start a community where proper prayer goes on, and I want to start a church or a ministry, and I want to preach, and I want to learn more and more about Yahweh's world and who he is, because once you start knocking on that door, it does get opened. It does, and it's exciting because it's like it is magic, proper magic, not, lightweight. It's otherworldly. It's parting the Red Sea. It's amazing. It's control. It's order out of chaos. The chaos isn't real. The chaos has no connection with God. God is order. It's a beautiful order, and it's love. It's an order of love, and it is the love frequency. What we're on now with all this, and we're trained to think that chaos is the order that they have. The order here, the order of the greys, it is a crushing of our hearts and a crushing of our spirit. That's not order. That's some dirty Nazi thing. That's not order. That's chaos, and that's a whip of chaos. That's what that is. It's not proper order. It's a whip of chaos. That people having mansions and ignoring the poor, that's not order. That's evil. It's the kiss of the whip. I'm not talking about Max here now. That is a kiss of the whip, see? That's Nazism, and even the left-wing version of Nazism, where, we flood the place with people from different lands that are bigger than ours, but we're like, we're being really nice, refugees, welcome here, come on, immigrants, welcome here. It's stupid. And then those people holding those signs will go back to their mansions in Surrey. But what about the others? What about the poor? What about the poor here that are getting crushed like in Hazel Football Stadium? What about that? Have some, wake up. So with God, it's proper order. It's not the kiss of the whip order, which isn't an order. It's just a satanic crushing of us because they hate us. We've got beings ruling now, and basically these greys have got control of the elite. I've written a book about it. It won't get published. I've written it in novel form. It won't get published. And basically that's just a crushing. It's crushing us, crushing our hearts. So we start to hate, so we start to grow colder, so we start to think it's dog eat dog now. Well, it's not dog eat dog. You can get like that, but it will come in and get you eventually. It will get you if you just try and avoid it somehow. Because it's chaos here right now, and you can't run away from it, and you can't hide in their order. You see, it's like you're Jewish and you've gone to Hitler's house, and you're like, I'll just live under the stairs, Hitler. Is that okay? Because there's a covering. I'm okay under the stairs. Hitler will get you. You're in his house. He will gas you. You're in his house. It's the only way out, the only real order to be found. You can find it in the Old Testament, you can find it in the New Testament. I prefer the Old Testament right now. You can look in Isaiah. You can see my other show that I've hung with John Oswald. That talks about where to find God and how to pray. And you can start reading the Psalms. You can start connecting with Yahweh. And you might think, well, I've read the Old Testament and he seems a bit bitchy. Well, he's not a bit bitchy if you understand how humans are living and how they're hurting other people. He knows what's going on, and he makes sure he gets his man. He's God. He knows better than us. You can't judge God because we're hamsters. It's like my hamster judging me. Hamster doesn't know what's going on. You have to say, well, God knows what he's doing. You have to trust there. I'm just going to see if there's any, because somebody had some questions. Somebody has some questions that Jerry put in the chat show. And the chat text. Sorry. Somebody expenses. So I mentioned expenses. Did I lose my internet? No, I'm losing my house, my roof over my head. It's okay. I'm praying. And hello, Christine. The best works, get not a dime. Oh, thank you very much. That's lovely. Whoever said that, that's really lovely. Keep the faith. Yeah, it's interesting that lovely person that said keep the faith. because I had a dream. I mean, I'm praying more and more, and God, because these are end times, God is turning people around a lot faster now. So once you start praying to Him, it's not going to be slow like it was in the old days, where you're sort of going slowly with this. It's going to hit you really fast. Okay, so once you start connecting with Yahweh, so once you go to the Old Testament, start connecting, or if you don't want to do that, you can connect to Jesus in the New Testament, whichever you want. It's the same being, and once you do connect, you're going to get all this spiritual stuff happen. You're going to get in your dreams, but you're going to get hit as well. You're going to get targeted. You're going to get humans who are connected, who have got these little grey fetuses coming in, as attachments, and they're going to turn on you. They're not going to know why. They'll just get moved to move against you. So you will get the dark side, but you will get the good side too. And that is really, it's priceless. It's stronger. It's a lot stronger. And God will give you power over the darkness. They'll give you power to see, people with attachments and people that are hosting, people that are hybrids even. These aren't aliens. We say, grey ET. They're just demons, but you can call them what you want, but they look like that. Some people have seen them. And you just need to pray daily. And I know prayer can be boring, but you can just talk to God. You can talk to Yahweh. You can try reading bits and try looking at what He did and seeing you're talking to a powerful individual, and go out somewhere amongst nature and have your talk there. I can't pray in my house. That's not my house anyway. I'm basically homeless. I can't pray here. I go out to a park and I walk barefoot and get connected up to the sky and the trees and touch them. And when I'm fully connected to God's world, I then begin to pray and talk. I just talk in a way of talking to a friend and say, look, I'm upset because of this, and I would appreciate it if you. And then I do say thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for the other. And you give God a bit of attention back, and then you will start getting more. And I had a dream, because I'm having such bad stuff happen and I'm absolutely terrified. I had a dream, and in the dream, somebody came to me, and I don't know if it was an angel or not, but they said to me that I didn't have faith, and that all believers in God had to have faith. And if you didn't have faith, then you weren't walking alongside God. Now, I do struggle with faith, because I do, I do think, okay, worse things are going to happen, and I don't have faith that it will be okay, that God will carry me through this storm right now. And this angel said to me that I don't have faith. And I do go through life fearing. I have a lot of fear, and fear stays with me. I wake up in terror. I get through the day somehow, and I go to bed with terror. And the angel said to me, you've got to have faith, and you've got to live with faith in God. And they said to me, this is how you will feel in your body if you have faith. And they let me feel it, and it was amazing. It was like just some amazing drug or something. I don't take drugs, but I should imagine that's why people do. All the pain went out of my body, out of every tiny cell of my body. It no longer had pain. It no longer had fear, that horrible fear that, it's horrible, I always have, and anxiety. It all went, and I felt like floating. And they said to me, this angel said, this is how you will feel if you have faith, if you live with faith. And then they said that faith is a magical gateway to an even closer relationship with God, to have faith. So I'm working on that right now. There's so much to learn, and there's lots of lectures on YouTube about different things. There's even, John Oswalt is good, and there's so many ways that we don't have to sit alone with our Bible. There are lots of lectures teaching us ways to access it. It is hard. It's a magical book, and different ways of praying, different special things. And faith is an amazing thing. I've lived without it. And I was just looking at my photo albums, and I had a really nice life at one point. And, you know, I had a son. I didn't have worries. I had work coming in. I really crave work. Makes me feel like a human being. To have sunk so low and to been so long without work as I have, and it's hard and terrifying. And yeah, I had work at one point, and I had a child, and I was looking at these pictures, and just I had a house, and my life was like blessed, and there was no worries and fear. I had hypochondria because I thought, how can life be this good? I'd always felt lonely in life and not found it easy to make friends and didn't trust much and had memories of my sexual abuse and memories of not being wanted. So I limped through life a little bit, but I'd never had faith, and God gave me work, gave me somewhere to live. He gave me a beautiful child, and I remember thinking, oh, something's going to screw this up. This is too good. And I remember one night, and I was watching telly, had a glass of wine, cuddling my son who was asleep, a baby, and I thought, this is heaven. I feel like I'm in heaven. I'm not alone anymore. I have this beautiful baby. And then I started to fear, oh, what if it went wrong? What if he ended up in care? What if he was sexually abused by a paedophile in care? What? And I started to get, it showed its way in hypochondria. I thought, what if I die? He'll be on his own. So as a single mother, and then he'll go to care, and then he might get a paedophile attack because that's where they congregate. And I started to worry and fear, what will happen to him? Will he have my life? And every little thing, like an odd headache or a twinge, I would be on the internet looking it up and blow it up in my mind that it would be heart disease, or it would be something that would mean that my son would get taken into care. And it was a massive fear. And I look back to that time and just looking at the pictures, and literally I was having an idyllic life, you know. There was a fireplace, a fire, beautiful Christmases. I had a friend come round, and everything was awesome. Everything was happy, and my son was having a magical time. I was happy. I didn't need to fear the darkness would come in. It came soon enough. But, you know, when we're going through good times, you know, if we're the kind of people that have had a lot of bad times, we don't need to fear the good times. When you're having a good bit of time, know that that's a gift from God, and that He's given you a gift, and that bad times will come because they're the ones that will wake us up. They'll wake us up not only to go and pray to God, but they'll wake us up to see, look, when someone else is having a bad bit of time and you're having a good time, you've got to be kind to them. I went to see a girl yesterday, and it was, you know, about what I'm going through right now, and I expected them to be horrible. And I was so scared. I was scared already. I woke up scared, and I sat in my car, and fear was going through me so much. I nearly vomited. I was so scared because women have often, you know, enjoyed taking power over me, enjoyed, you know, I've got control and you can get a rough ride. And, you know, for whatever reason, it's targeting again that these, you know, beings, they can come at you. They can come through people. And I thought, it's obviously it's going to happen. They're going to be bad to me. And I felt sick. And I went into this, you know, building to see her yesterday. And I said to the man, I'm going to be sick. And he goes, no, sit down, you'll be fine. Anyway, she came out, and I didn't want to see her. I thought, it's bound to be someone that's, you know, got attachments, and I'm going to get a hard time here. And I looked at her, and I just knew straight away she was a good person. And she just said so many kind things. And I literally couldn't let my mind believe it. And she said to me, you know, you'll be fine. Stop worrying. Stop worrying. You're not going to end up on the street. You're not going to end up begging. You think that's what's going to happen, isn't it? And I said, yeah, I do. And I had a little cry. And, yeah, just so much kindness. And I felt happy. And I listened to the music, and I remembered that life isn't dark, dark, dark. You know, when you're having a dark time, you can think, oh, it's all dark, it's all dark. But you will have your time out of the hole again. You know, I mean, I'm pretty much down a hole right now, but I'm having periods where I put my head up a little bit and breathe air and see sunlight. And, you know, that will happen to you. You'll have a bad time and you have a good time, because we're learning. We're all down here, and it's not the greatest of place, but we're learning. And by suffering, we learn. I mean, if I hadn't suffered, I wouldn't have ever looked for Jesus in the Psalms, and I wouldn't have ever looked to see, what is this place like? This isn't right, what's going on? I wouldn't have ever dug beneath the surface. And I would have just been like, you know, one of these people in mansions that don't really care. And I don't want to be like that. It's kind of ugly. I used to really envy women that were like wives and kept and wore beautiful clothes in mansions and had lots of friends and had the respect of the community. I don't really know why they get the respect of the community, but they do. And always people say, oh, they're a good woman, you know, and oh, what a lovely couple and all that. And I felt quite envious, and I thought, I wish someone would say I was a good woman and I was lovely, you know. And I've never really sort of hit it off with a man so much that, you know, I've got married or been asked even. Never been asked. Never mind, I was asked once years ago. And so I envy them. You know, I envy people saying, oh, they were lovely. I thought, well, they're lucky. I don't know about lovely, but, you know, and oh, they're so good. And, you know, I envy that. I thought, oh, it's not really fair. But if you think about it, people are in those positions. They're not awake to what's going on. And they're not really helping. They're not, even though they're having lots of privilege, they're holidaying it up, really. If you see, they're holidaying it up. And this is a sinking ship right now. It's definitely end times, which is why when you're going to Yahweh, he will turn you around pretty quickly and you'll start getting lots of spiritual stuff happen to you, because it's end times and he wants warriors and he wants people speaking up for him. He wants people banging that drum, because we're getting to a point where it's either make or break with this world. I do think it is, as it says, end times, and it's going to go for blackout. And when it does go for blackout, I think Jesus wants to grab as many souls as he can, and because literally our energy is part of him, so it's almost like he's got his arm down here, so he's trying and fighting for his life. He's not watching from a distance, not giving a damn. It's like the part of him that's in humanity is like his arm, so he wants to pull it back, but there's a blackout occurring, so he's trying to pull as many souls as he can to get as much God energy as he can out of this earth before it starts to sink down and go blackout completely. By these beings, call them greys, call them demons, call them whatever you want, but they're fighting hard to take as much as God's energy as they can as they go for blackout, and that is what we know as end times. So what you should be doing is not swanning around a mansion in a lovely atonement style dress, but out there fighting, helping, like that girl yesterday. How much of what she did yesterday is doing God's work? There was, some schmuck that screwed up me who went in there, helping. I'm going to be on the street, and she was kind to me. Does she read the Bible? Does she pray? I have no idea. But she's doing God's work. She didn't need to counsel me like she was a therapist. She didn't need to do that. She saw what I needed. I was supposed to bring this and that and the other to come to see her. She said, oh, have you got this, that and the other? I said, no. She goes, what have you got then? I said, nothing. I literally brought nothing. I was so scared. My stomach was so sick because I thought she was going to be mean to me like my mother, even though I had counselling from a friend who said, don't project your mother onto her just because she's got power over you. She's not going to hurt you. Just go along. It's going to be fine. You're making it happen. But I couldn't get the positive state of mind up. I couldn't. I was just too scared. So I went along, literally vomiting practically. And she was so kind. She could have told me off and said, well, you're wasting my time. You should have brought none of that. She said, don't worry. You come back again. Don't worry. You'll be fine. Be happy. And that was so sweet. So she's doing God's work. Somebody else, I would say 99% of people would have said, well, I'm sorry, they would have been officious. And this is what these greys want. They want us to not have a heart. They want us to treat each other coldly. Well, I'm just doing my job here. This person, they did. That's not right. They want us to be snappy with each other. They want us to be inhuman with each other. That girl who I met yesterday is doing God's work, even though she maybe never even picks up a Bible. She was absolutely kind to me. I went out of there. I went straight to the church and I was like, thank you, Yori. Thank you. You protected me. You showed me to that kind-hearted woman who's one of your flock. And you saved me from literally vomiting. I was so scared. And I sat there in the church for an hour, just letting go of my fear. Just because I thought, I'm not having faith in you. I'm not having faith. I was so scared I nearly vomited. I should have gone in there in faith. Should have gone in there. God, I know you can protect me. I know you can lead me to someone nice. And you see how God can't actually come down here right now, but each one of us is being the Christ. They're saying Christ will come again, will come in us as we ignite our hearts, keep it burning, and be nice to each other. Not just say, sometimes when I'm driving about, I can be a bit of a road hog. I can stick my two fingers up at people. Or what if the person I'm sticking up two fingers, winding down the window and saying, fuck you. What if that particular person is having a really bad day like me, really scared, really going under, really in a hole, and I'm sticking my two fingers up? What if I, instead, when I go about my day, what if I smile at strangers? Sometimes I have been so lonely that a smile of a stranger has made my day. I've gone to sleep thinking that person smiled at me, that person smiled at me. So why can't I give that out to people? Why can't I walk down the street, try and catch someone's eye and give them a smile, give them a real godly smile where they know, the universe cares about you? Because God can't be here, Jesus can't be here right now. We all have to be the Christ body. We all have to join together. And it starts with kindness. How do you know whatever person you encounter today on the verge of suicide? So if we're sweet as anything and tender as Jesus, the little lamb, to each other, we can do it. We can save souls. We can be a real warrior for Jesus. And then you will get blessings. You will. Your life, that will make you grow. I mean, I saw that beautiful, beautiful woman I met yesterday. I saw her in the street. I walked up the street, went in a pub, brushed my hair, tried to look a bit better because I actually looked a complete wreck. Walked out in the street, went to get a sandwich, and I saw same girl, very young girl, and I saw her laughing with a friend, and I thought, what a lovely human being. And doesn't she deserve her nice life? She's having a nice life. Doesn't she deserve it? She could have been, I'm in a position of power over people. I'm going to just, feel good about myself by, thrusting it and strutting. No, she chose not to. She chose to reach out to me. She chose to be tender. Yeah? And so I want you all who listen to this show to try and be as tender as you can with others. I think I've lost the use of I've definitely lost the use of my mic. It's coming to the end of the show. Thank you for listening. What a shame. What a shame my things aren't working very well. Thank you for listening. I'll post the prayers underneath and try and have a good week. Try and be the body of Christ. Try and realize these are the end times and try and just be kind to each other. We are here suffering and try and be kind. So Max Mosley, I'm sorry to you. I guess I'm not being kind back to you. You're ruining my life and I'm being rude to you, so I apologise for that. And it's the end of the show. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to Revolution Radio, where you, the listeners, are in charge. Here at Revolution Radio, we present 48 broadcast hours of news and information each and every day. Revolution Radio never sleeps. Revolution Radio is worldwide and borderless information. Revolution Radio is also commercial free. Revolution Radio is supported 100% by you, the listeners. And that's why we appeal to you to donate and support this station and its expenses. You can support us in many available options like archive subscriptions, our seed pack selections, or even my woodworking store. And we also even have Revolution Radio's swag at the Revolution Radio Zazzle store, which you can get t-shirts, coffee cups, even a baby onesie. Or you can just plain donate to the cause. We cannot continue without your support, and your support is what helps pay the bills. So please, if you wish us to continue, please stop by our station support page and drop a dime on us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.